Welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. This is part 11 of AMT's Star Trek The Next Generation Enterprise D. Scale is 1 to 1400. In part 10, I dealt with the neck of the ship leading up to the useless section, putting in the lights. In this part, I'm going to be moving on to the hull with placing in some more lights. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. Jumping straight into it, you can see that I'm using a bit of solder on a strip of LED lights. This one contains 6 on the LED strip. Remember, these get cut in sections of 3, and I'm just adding a little bit of solder for the connection point. Again, like I explained in the last video, I have to be extremely careful here because I'm soldering over the model itself, and I don't want any solder to drop off onto the actual plastic. Why I'm placing the wires on like this and not beforehand is because I wasn't sure the direction they needed to be going. But once they're on, it was time to do a light test. So I'm running the power down from the nacelle strut and into the hull itself to make sure the power's okay. So I've separated the sheath here at midway point between these two pieces of wire, like I did on the neck, just to expose the wire, which will enable me to connect it. And I'll do that just by running my knife over the sheath of the wire very gently. If you're doing it this way, make sure you don't cut your finger. Be very, very careful. So once I've put the wire over the knife over the wire, I simply just pull the sheath apart to expose the actual wire itself. So I've got both wires here, and these will be getting connected onto the light strip with another wire running off it. So I'm just going to be connecting them now. As you see, I've already done a couple, and I'm just reheating the solder and pushing the wire on. These wires have already been tinned. That's the process where I place a bit of solder on the wire before actually connecting it. I'll then take the middle section of the wire that I expose to wrap and twist another piece of wire over it. This will be part of the running power going to another set of lights. The reason why I'm doing it this way, it's just easier instead of having multiple connections on my light strip. So the two wires that I placed in there, they're going to be bridging over to the other light strip to give them power. And that's what I'm doing now, just heating up the solder once more and pushing in the wire. So it will act as a bridge from one strip of LED to the next. It's just the same as connecting the two ends together, but I'm doing it this way instead of end to end. And that's the positive and neutral done. You can see there the wire coming off the middle section. Now that it's all secure, I'm going to be running the wire through the pre-drilled hole that I did before, and this is the wire that's going to go down into the stand. So this is my main power wires that are going in now. For the top of the hull, I'm doing the same again. I'm placing the wires, bridging them over from each light strip. The only difference with this one is one of the wires will be leading down into the bottom section of the hull to receive the power. So I'm just soldering up the other wires now. Again, same as the lower part of the hull. Now there's a chance that I may have to change these around it a little bit. I won't really know until I marry them up and see where the power run's going. But that's only a slight chance. I mean, sometimes these do break off as well. That can be a problem if my connections are not brilliant. But as you can see there, I'm doing the light test and everything is working. The last wire to be connected to the top of the hull is actually a 3mm light diode, and this one is orange, and this is going to be for the aft torpedo launcher. So I'm just placing the positive and neutral wires onto the pre-soldered parts on the LED strip first of all. As you can see, I've already made up the diode as well. So I've placed on the resistor and put a sheath on to protect it. And of course, once it's on, it's time to do the light test. Now this will be the first time I'm doing this, so I don't know whether it's actually going to work or not. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do, depending. So everything is working there. You can see the diode lighting up. And once all the wires are connected, once more, I'm going to be tying everything down with some hot glue. The torpedo light here, the orange one, that sits in a little trench. I'm making sure that it really doesn't move, because once it's closed up, I want the light just to go into one direction and not shine on to any of the windows within the hull. So it's quite important to get this in position properly. So now I can move on to the deflector dish. So I'm using some canopy glue here to attach the red part to it. Now there's a little marking inside the dish here, and I'm just placing quite a liberal amount of the canopy glue inside to give it something to grip onto. And once I've got it in place, I'm going to leave this for quite some time, because it takes quite a lot of time for the white glue, canopy glue, to dry, especially if you're using a lot of it. But I want to make sure that the bond is such that once it's on, it will not move. And once everything is dry, I can then put the dish into the housing. There's a little lip plaster that runs around the edge of this for the dish to sit onto. And it fits quite well. I may need to block a little bit of light, but I won't know until I close everything up. I've decided to add a couple of extra pieces of wire here. This is just to give me a little bit more room to maneuver when I'm joining everything up. That way I won't be too tight when I connect the hull to the saucer section, and that's the only reason. I did think about just leaving it bare and letting the cables come down, but it would be so tight to get my hands inside the opening there. I thought I'd just extend the wire a little bit. But once I did that, it was time to do the test, and as you can see, both sides are lit up. I've connected the sides together just by twisting the wires to the positive, neutral to neutral. And then I'm just using a bit of masking tape here to mask off any bare wires that the hot glue is not touching. So I'm just doubling down, making sure nothing is going to touch anything else that will cause a short. Now I did dry fit this off camera, and there will be a little bit of gap in issue next to the deflector dish. So I'm just using a bit of sprue glue here for the initial gaps that need to be filled in, and then once that's dry, I'll probably then go over it with a little Villaggio plastic putty as well, depending on how well this bond goes. Next is to bond the hull. So it's a liberal amount of cement around the edges here. And all that's left to do on this part is to bond the two halves of the hull together. I have to be careful when I'm putting this in position, because the wires, obviously, you don't want to compress them down too much, causing any breaks in the connections. That can happen more often than you think. So it's always wise just to be careful with it. Try and make sure you get a good bond as well, because this will be taking a lot of weight off the saucer section when it goes on. So once I put the clamps on, I'll be leaving this part alone for about at least 12 hours, just to make sure everything is stable. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my builds in the future as well. Hit that like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.